Welcome to Diana's Diary Room. Okay, so last week I didn't do a diary room. Why? Because it was freaking boring in that house. This week, just a little bit different. Today we find ourselves with Brittany on the block. Oh wait, no, strike that. We'll get back to that in a minute. Let me start with 2 days before the live eviction Wednesday. Shane and Joe start to make a friendship, and it grows very quickly, and all of a sudden Shane and Joe are an item, and they make plans to work together, which is kind of funny to the dismay of Brittany, Dan, and Danielle, and Ian, because Shane really likes Joe, and Shane is this game player who has 3 POVs and 2 HOHs under his hat and 0 strategic ability. So Thursday rolls around, and Ian is in the kicks room, and Boogie is convinced that it's going to be a double eviction. Now remember that Boogie thinks that Ian is an idiot who doesn't know how to do anything without him. He so underestimates this kid that he'll tell him things thinking Ian will just blindly follow Sir Boogie down the road and do anything he wants. He has no idea that Ian's in this Quack Pack alliance. He has no idea that Ian's been feeding them information. I think it's funny. Not that Ian's this great player. I just think it is so hysterically funny that Boogie is so worried about his street credit, and yet, I guess I'm supposed to say street cred. Anyhow, he's so worried about it, and he's underestimating Ian, and Ian is screwing him over left and right. So what does he do? He pulls Ian aside before the live show, convinced it's going to be a double eviction, and tells him, who are you going to put up if you get HOH? And Ian's like, Ashley and Joe. And Boogie says, no. He went like a big move, like maybe Britt. And Ian says, because Ian and Brittany have this thing going. Not a little showman, it's just a partnership. So then he says, well, how about Shane? And Ian says, okay, Shane. End of conversation. Off they go. Ian then tells people of the Quack Pack what happened, which gets Brittany and the entire Quack Pack, they got to go up together. What they don't know is that Shane and Joe had already decided that Frank and Boogie were going to go on the block, and the Quack Pack, Dan, Brittany, Danielle, and Ian, think they're going to force Shane to do it, and they get up there, Frank and Boogie have to go up. Shane's like, okay, but I'm not, they kept their word, and he vacillates back and forth, but he wants to put them up anyhow. Alright, so today comes. Frank and Boogie are so convinced that they're safe with the final Silent Six alliance that they're trying to get on the block as we speak. Dan was going to be backdoored last week, and then they want to do Brittany this week. They're so convinced they're safe, they don't even bother to go up and talk to Shane before the nominations. Well, then they get nominated. Where'd that come from, they say. They go up and talk to Shane. Now, Shane sucks when it comes to game talk. He just agrees to everybody. Yep, you're 100% right. Yeah, I know, I should have thought of that. Oh gosh, I'm sorry. This is Shane. Everybody knows it. In fact, they knew not to leave Shane alone with Frank and Boogie before the nominations, but because Brittany is such a coward, she leaves Shane upstairs alone with Frank and Boogie after the nominations, because God forbid she take any heat for anything. So what does Shane do? Basically says, yeah, Brittany told me to do it. Alright, so the whole time it's throw Brittany under the bus. Brittany. They're all over Brittany. They want to crucify her, Shane's like, yeah, I mean, I put you up. It's 100% my fault. But Brittany is, I don't have a brain. Basically, Brittany tells me what to do. He doesn't throw Dan, Danielle, or Ian under the bus during this entire conversation. So Brittany comes upstairs after they leave, and he tells Brittany, I basically threw you under the bus. I love this. So Brittany goes downstairs, and instead of going, damn Shane, why'd you do that, and just letting it be, no, Brittany goes and tries to talk her way out of it with Frank and Boogie. What does she do? She throws Dan under the bus. Okay, hang on. Alright, so Brittany is acting like she has been put on the block. No. Brittany's acting like she was not nominated, POV was played, then she was the replacement nom, never got a chance to save her, and is getting backdoored. Wait, no. That's Janelle. That's not Brittany. No, Brittany has freaking safety this week. She can't be nominated. She can't be backdoored. She's not going home this week, and she's acting like she's on the block. It is a pity party for Brittany. So she goes and she absolutely throws Dan under the bus in a big way. Frank and Boogie are like, oh, I knew it was Dan the whole time. Completely forgetting about Ian. And then she goes and talks to Shane. Now, she berates Shane for, I don't know, a good hour. Shane, bad Shane, bad Shane. I'm not saying Shane's a smart guy or anything, but I think it's pretty funny because Shane got the target completely taken off him. And Shane said, so wait, I have to win all the competitions and get all the blood on my hands so that you all can sit there and vote them out and not have any of the blood. And she's like, oh, I left my husband for you. And by some unfortunate circumstance, I'm playing this game again. What, the unfortunate circumstance where you signed the papers and agreed to come in, or the unfortunate circumstance where you pushed the button? I don't know which it was, but an unforeseen circumstance put Brittany in this awful position where Shane has thrown her under the bus, to which she answers that by throwing somebody else of her own alliance under the bus. Not a different alliance, her own alliance. This is classic Brittany. Let's get another member of my own alliance backdoored this week. How's that sound? Alright, so Dan immediately knows that he's been thrown, his radar ping goes off. He knows that Frank and Boogie suspect him. So Dan is trying to talk to Boogie. Frank's upstairs trying to get things going with Brittany and Shane, saying that Dan is working both sides. Now, Dan is and has been working. He's got his safety outlets all over the place. It's really hard to tell who Dan is ever loyal to, and I think the key with Dan is he's not loyal to any of them until he gets pushed into a side and he knows which way things are going, and then he jumps all the way into that side. He was loyal to Janelle right up until he realized there's no way he could stop the momentum of this train, and boom, Janelle was out the door. So same thing with Quack Pack versus Frank and Boogie. If Frank and Boogie would have had the power and they would have struck at Brittany and Shane, he would have gone over to Frank and Boogie. But because Quack Pack, I really feel like a less intelligent person having to say the words Quack Pack. Because Quack Pack has the power and Shane and Boogie are in trouble, he's all the way with them. That's Dan's gameplay, in my opinion. So anyhow, Boogie decides he wants things all out in the open, and he has a talk with Brittany and Dan and Frank and Shane, where he basically wants to know who said I was saying this about Brittany. I know, by the way, I really was saying this about Brittany, but who said it? Wait a minute, you just said you were saying it about Brittany. My thing about Brittany is, Brittany knew that Boogie and Frank were coming after her from Ian. Why she got so upset that Shane threw her under the bus to two people who were already coming after her is beyond me. Come on, they were already coming after you, so you put your entire alliance in jeopardy by throwing Dan under the bus, by bitching about Shane to Danielle, for two people that you already know are coming after you. It makes no sense whatsoever. Dan's not, Dan is not without lies in this game. Anybody who thinks he is wrong. He is playing both sides. Shane, not so smart. By the way, Ashley and Jen are still in the house, and Joe's got a new best buddy who happens to have the power this week. Much to this, absolute, it's driving them nuts. Okay. So, they're up in the HOH, they're having this confrontation. Frank is, really trying to get Dan agitated. Dan's just laying there going, I'm not going to say it, because Dan really didn't say this thing, Ian said it. But then Boogie keeps saying, I told Dan this, I told Dan this, and Dan's the only person I told. Again, Boogie, so dismissive of Ian, absolutely forgets that he told Ian to do this. Now, downstairs, the floaters are just having a great time. But Danny is downstairs and driving her crazy that there's a meeting up in the HOH that she's not been invited to. So she goes up to the HOH door. It's locked. Shane opens it. He says, can you come back in a little bit? And he shuts the door. Oh my God. Danny is absolutely obsessing that she wasn't let into the HOH. She's so mad she could kill Shane because she wasn't good enough to be let into the HOH room. She wasn't allowed to hang with the cool kids. She had to go hang with the stupid floaters downstairs. That's all she cares about. So, upstairs, after Frank and Boogie leave, Dan and Brittany are talking it over. Frank and Boogie go downstairs to talk to Danielle, and she says to them, so, in your targets, where do I lie? Now, she's not asking them where she is on their target list so that she knows where she is safety-wise. No, she wants to know how important they think she is in the game, because Ian has told her multiple times, you're not on their list. You're not on their list. And they say, well, our dream Final Four is you, Ashley, me, and Frank. Why Ashley, she says. They say, because she can't win anything. Danielle says, so you think I can't win anything? I love it. So then they start bashing Dan to her and everything. Now Danielle is busy retelling for the third time this hour-and-a-half session where Dan and Boogie yelled at her and cornered her, and she's just so furious that Shane didn't let her in the HOH, so she was stuck downstairs being berated by Dan and Boogie. And oh, by the way, Brittany claims that Dan and Boogie berated her too, and I'm thinking, she says they accosted her. I'm sorry, but when you go to them, that's not accosting. I mean, maybe if you were walking down the hallway and they just grabbed you into the have-not room and started yelling, that might be accosting. But you going up to them to try to cover your ass and them saying, hey, I'm not having any of it, that's not accosting. Sorry. All right. Is there anybody in this game worth liking? I really am having a hard time. I mean, I kind of just like Joe because he entertains me. Game-wise, I mean, he put himself in a good position with Shane this week. And these are kind of like, I mean, Shane doesn't have a bad bone in his body, and he's good at competitions, but not a whole lot of strategy going on up there. And so the Shane-Joe buddy ship is funny because Danielle can't have the HOH room because Joe feels very at home up there, much to her dismay. So they're downstairs in the arcade being forced to, you know, schlup with the rest of the people instead of being up in the HOH because Joe's up there. Alright, so Frank and Boogie are on the block, and all Boogie really cares about is his street cred. You know, it's okay with Boogie if he can blind someone like Janelle and go and brag about it in the DR, but God forbid he get blindsided or look like a dope because he's in there bragging constantly while the entire house knew that they were going up on the block, with the exception of Jen. Ian knew, Ashley knew, Joe knew, and so did the whole Quack Pack Alliance know, and Frank and Boogie didn't, and they looked like fools, and that's all that really matters to Boogie. Oh, did I tell you? You have to know that during the HOH competition, he didn't even try for a HOH. He got it for the money. Why Frank isn't livid with him for this is beyond me. But hey, it's the Frank and Boogie showman, so who knows. Alright, that's Dinah's Diary Room for right now. I will talk to you again soon. Bye.